Regent Bernstein, when you hear me, if you could try delivering your remarks and then we'll move forward from there. And then
Sure. Mark, can you hear me?
we're back in order. We do hear you, Mark. There'll be a sound delay on our end, but don't worry about it. You go ahead.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
Please start.
Okay. All this buildup, I'm afraid everyone's going to be kind of disappointed. The only thing I wanted to do at the top of the meeting was just to, and I know I'm certain that I speak on behalf of my colleagues on the board and in the administration and the entire university community when I say just how heartbreaking the tragedy in Oxford was. We have 61 students who attended Oxford High School at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, 55 undergrads and 6 grad students. And so it's just a statement, it confirms just how interdependent we all are, how we're all in the same boat, that this tragedy touches everybody here in Ann Arbor. I just think we could not have this meeting without recognizing this tragedy, the terrible, profound, irreplaceable loss that has happened. That is, and so I just thought it would be appropriate to recognize that before we continued with the work of the university.
Thank you very much for those words, Regent Bernstein. For those joining us online, I'll now call a roll of all the regents one by one. For those not able to see the screen, Regent Acker, you're here.
I am here.
Oh, now your microphone's not working.
Uh-oh.
I see.
I am here and it's working.
Visual confirmation. Regent Bernstein, you just heard from. Regent Brown.
Present.
Regent Hubbard.
Here.
Regent Illich, sound check. Thank you. Regent Weiser.
I'm here.
Perfect. And Regent White.
Here.
Thank you, Kathy. Also joining us are the university's executive officers, and remotely joining us are Vice Presidents Michaels and Churchill and Chancellor Dutta. They're remote today. Congratulations are in order for Regent Denise Illich, who was recently recognized as one of the 100 most influential women in Michigan by Crain's Detroit Business. In addition to her professional work and her service on the U of M board, Crain cited her involvement with organizations like the Skillman Foundation and as an advisory board member of Michigan Medicine's Prechter-Bolt Bipolar Research Program. Other women on the list include U of M Law School professor and former U.S. Attorney Barbara McQuaid, U of M Associate Vice President for Research and Innovation Partnerships, Kelly Boatwright Sexton, and Luann Thomas Ewald, Chief Operating Officer of the C.S. Mott Children's Hospital and the von Voigtlander Women's Hospital. Congratulations to Denise and these other colleagues, and let's give them a round of applause. Our team is putting the final touches on plans to celebrate this semester's graduates at our winter commencement ceremony on December 19th at the Chrysler Center. This will be our first in-person commencement since December of 2019, and I'm thrilled to get this chance to gather together with our students, their families and friends, and once again honor their accomplishments. Our commencement speaker will be Dr. Ruth Simmons, President of Prairie View A&M University and President Emerita of Brown University and Smith College. Dr. Simmons is a strong advocate of the transforming power of education and social justice. She recruited me to be her provost at Brown and has been a close mentor to me and a good friend of our campus for years. I was honored to have Dr. Simmons speak at my inauguration when I stepped into this role in 2014, and I very much look forward to welcoming her back to U of M later this month. In today's agenda, we recommend that 3 others receive honorary degrees at the ceremony, including E. Hill Deloney, a nationally recognized pioneer and expert in community-based participatory research. Deloney is a prominent Flint community leader who serves as director of the Flint Odyssey House and has collaborated extensively with U of M research teams to promote safe and healthy futures for youth, families, and communities. Cleve Moeller, a mathematical software pioneer who taught at U of M from 1966 to 1972. Moeller's contributions to his field include developing MATLAB programming and numeric computing platform, and Kathy Ann Perkins, a renowned theater scholar and lighting designer. Perkins, who's a U of M alumna, has edited or co-edited several play anthologies and designed lighting at theatrical venues all around the world. One reason we're able to host an in-person commencement event and to do so with confidence that it will be safe is the strong rate of vaccination against COVID-19 in our campus community. Currently, 98% of our students and 91% of our employees are fully vaccinated. We'll be requiring masking for all attendees in commencement as well, consistent with our existing policies. When students return to campus for the winter semester, classes will continue in person and students, faculty, and staff will continue to wear masks indoors as an added measure of protection. I want to once again say thank you to our students, our faculty, and staff for their compliance and vigilance, and especially to all those working behind the scenes to carry out the public health measures that keep our community healthy. One way we can all continue to keep it safe is to make sure we roll up our sleeves again for the COVID booster shot. While it's not required under the U of M vaccination policy at this time, the university is strongly encouraging everyone who's eligible to get their booster. Later today, we'll be submitting a supplemental item recommending the approval of a renovation project for the Rackham Memorial Building in Detroit's Cultural Center Historic District. This is an important project that will eventually establish a new center of operations for the university's wide-ranging work in partnership with the city and its residents. Our university was founded in Detroit in 1817, and I'm proud that our presence and work in the city continues to grow. I'm pleased to share that the university last month put in place a new standalone policy that provides additional protections for faculty, staff, and students who report wrongful conduct. The standalone protection from retaliation policy prohibits acts or threats of retaliation, whether subtle or direct, that adversely affect employment or education as a result of making a good faith report of wrongful conduct or participating in an investigation. The policy is another positive step in the university's ongoing comprehensive work to prevent and address sexual and other forms of misconduct and transform our university and its culture to reflect the core beliefs of our community. I want to thank our Board of Regents for their continued leadership in this area as we work towards our goal of prioritizing the principles of care, support, education, and prevention. Our Division of Public Safety and Security continues to implement recommendations from the Advancing Public Safety at the University of Michigan Task Force, which you'll remember examined public safety practices on the Ann Arbor campus. DPSS finalized a contract with a global consulting firm that will work with DPSS to expand public access to statistics, data, and demographics. The firm's subject matter expertise will help DPSS to better collect, analyze, contextualize, and present data to improve communication and transparency. The firm will also provide recommendations to assist DPSS in hiring, recruiting, retention, and community engagement. DPSS also hired a new Advancing Public Safety Task Force project manager who will lead coordination efforts with community, external consultants, and university stakeholders and ensure appropriate prioritization. The department finalized a contract with Michigan Creative to identify the strengths and opportunities for improvement of the department's online presence. Michigan Creative also will conduct surveys and focus groups to better inform recommendations for strengthening community engagement efforts. In June, based on task force recommendations, DPSS began to collect additional data associated with traffic stops and enforcement contacts. This information is now on the DPSS website, the Data and Statistics page, under the Enhanced Traffic Stop Statistics tab. DPSS will continue to expand the publication of statistics, data, and demographics as it works to better collect, analyze, contextualize, and present information. DPSS continues to collaborate with the chair of the Police Department Oversight Committee and the university's Director of Human Resources to finalize training for Oversight Committee members. I'm pleased with the progress being made and will continue to provide further updates in the months ahead. I'd like to share a few short words about a notable U of M alumna who died late last month. Former U.S. Representative Carrie Meek, the grandchild of a slave, earned her master's degree at U of M in 1948, a time when African Americans weren't admitted to graduate schools in her home state of Florida. As a longtime educator and trailblazing congresswoman, she worked to increase opportunity, advance human rights, and end the evils of segregation. On behalf of the University of Michigan, I want to share my condolences with the family and friends of Carrie Meek. I congratulate U of M senior Rachel Merritt, who was named as a 2022 Rhodes Scholar. She's the 30th U of M Rhodes Scholar and one of just 32 Americans chosen for the Oxford University Scholarship. Rachel is from Grand Rapids, and she's double majoring in Russian and International Studies in our College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. At Oxford, she intends to enroll in the master's program in Russian and Eastern European Studies, followed by a master's in Social Science of the Internet. Congratulations, Rachel. I'd also like to congratulate 3 outstanding Rhodes Scholar finalists from U of M, Amanda Kaplan, Karthik Ravi, and Sammy Sussman. Well done to all, and a round of applause, please. The University of Michigan debate program, led by students Raphael Pieri and Giorgio Rubini, won the annual Franklin R. Shirley Classic for the 2nd straight year last month. The 4-day competition hosted by Wake Forest University is considered the National Collegiate Debate Championship for the fall semester and includes more than 200 competitors from 50 institutions. The U of M pair of students winning in consecutive years had only been done once in the tournament's 65-year history. I doubt this comes as news to anyone in this room or watching on Zoom, but the University of Michigan football team won the Big Ten championship last weekend and will now compete in the college football playoffs for the first time. I want to congratulate all the student athletes on the football team for an outstanding 12-1 season that's brought a lot of joy and excitement to our campus community, our state, and the Wolverine Nation. Athletic Director Ward Manuel, Coach Harbaugh, the staff, our student athletes, and their families have much to be proud of. We look forward to seeing them compete in the Orange Bowl on New Year's Eve and hopefully one additional game after that. Go Blue football. Our women's soccer team was another standout this fall sports season. The team won its first Big Ten tournament title in more than 20 years and its 300th match as a varsity program. Their season came to an end late last month after a loss in the NCAA tournament quarterfinals. Senior Aaliyah Martin was named one of 16 semifinalists for the Mac Herman Trophy, given annually to the United Soccer Coaches Player of the Year in men's and women's Division I soccer. Congratulations to head coach Jennifer Klein and all of our student athletes. Go Blue. Lastly, before I turn it over for our first presentation, and since it's our last meeting of the year, I'd like to wish all of you here at the table, everyone across the campus, those at home, our alumni, and all of our supporters, a very happy, peaceful, healthy, and restful holiday season. I call upon Vice President Harmon to introduce our presentation by the Student Mental Health Innovative Approaches Review Committee. Vice President Harmon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, President Schlisel. I'm very excited to announce the co-chairs of our review committee for student mental health, Senior Vice Provost Amy Dittmar, and Dean of Students Laura Blake Jones. They will talk about the committee's recommendations and our progress in working to change the culture and the approach around addressing student mental health. And this was in partnership with Provost Collins as we both convened the co-chairs in the committee.
Great, thank you so much for inviting us to come here and talk about this really important report. We put the report out last summer and we want to talk to you today about the highlights of that as well as the implementation. Next slide. So it's probably not something I have to convince all of you on the importance of this topic. We have had growing needs by our students for a number of years and addressing them, their mental health needs. The Surgeon General, the United States Surgeon General, 2 days ago came out with a public advisory notice talking about the needs of mental health of our youth and the concerns there. And of course, in the last couple of years, that has been made even more extreme by the persistent effects of the global pandemic, as well as the pervasive impact of institutionalized racism. And this is what motivated us to really take a step back and take a look at our needs on this campus. We did that in a cross-collaboration approach. So just to be clear, so I am Amy Dittmar. I'm in the provost office and faculty. This is my colleague and co-chair, Laura Blake Jones, in the Office of Student Life. And we came together to bring all of campus together to address this incredibly important issue. Next slide. So I already introduced Laura and myself, but I also want to recognize a few other individuals that are really key to implementation. They're here with us. If you guys would please stand. Mary Jo Dupree, as well as Todd Sevig and Will Sherry are all instrumental in implementing this. Not here with us today is also Robert Ernst, who will be overseeing this work and for some time to come as he oversees health and wellness on our campus.
I'm very pleased to be here alongside Amy today to update you in a timely manner about this comprehensive effort. From my vantage point as Dean of Students at this amazing institution, there is nothing more important that we could be talking about today than the health and well-being of our students. So I appreciate your taking the time to listen to our update and your support in doing this work. Our implementation team is focused on the 4 areas you see on this slide. In this presentation, we're going to walk briefly through the 4 areas, highlighting a few examples in each area and saving time at the end for questions that we know you may have. Next. First and foremost, I want to begin by emphasizing that it's very important to note that our primary overarching goal in this work is for the University of Michigan to become a health promoting campus. And while this sounds like a simple goal, to truly live into doing this will require extensive, collective, and coordinated efforts. The first area of emphasis in our work actually began back on September 9th, when it was announced that President Schlissel had signed the document adopting the Okanagan Charter. I wanted to take a moment right now to thank him for his leadership and commitment to this as we undertake this transformative work. The Okanagan Charter provides a common language, principles, and framework for our work to become a health promoting campus and centers identity as salient to the health and well-being of our community. Since then, we've been working to build a sustainable infrastructure using a collective impact methodology because we know that this work cannot be done simply by issuing committee reports. By embracing a collective impact methodology and standing up the infrastructure that we're standing up, we're ensuring that the breadth of this work will continue and that our efforts will be sustained. The second area that I will focus on is really at the heart of the work. Fostering a culture on the University of Michigan campus of empathy, care, compassion to mitigate stressors, essentially extending grace and compassion to one another in this community is at the heart of what we need to do. While we know that our community is already a caring place with many of us and many, many examples of this, continuing forward to address these needs requires us to acknowledge that our students' needs are varied. They don't occur in isolation, and they have to be addressed in a multidimensional manner. Amy is going to take us through the next 2. I'm sorry, there was another animation on the slide. We have to tell you when to animate. I already said those things.
Yeah.
The examples, if you could just go back for a second. The examples before Amy takes over is that engaging the new and continuing resources that we have with our students as they arrive, whether those are undergraduate students arriving for the first time on campus or grad and professional students, Other examples are extending the add drop policy decision that we made. And the most important thing that we'll be highlighting throughout this presentation is the augmenting of our faculty and staff capacity to support and refer students to resources. And Nellie.
So as we've looked and talked to people across campus, we really heard a lot about the needs of how to support our students on a continuum of care. And so when we think about strengthening and coordinating across a continuum of care, let me provide a few examples to tell you what I mean by that. Of course, a key part of that is enhancing CAPS, and I'll talk about that model as well. But it's also we're adding to and creating a well-being academy. So what is a well-being academy? Well, first it's going to launch some of the workshops for faculty and staff that Laura just referenced. It's also going to expand the resources of wellness coaching. So this is not a counselor necessarily, but somebody students can go to when they're struggling with difficulties academically or socially or other stressors to help them sort through them and find guidance and find what the support they need. We've launched new online peer support. And as I said, we've also done, added a lot to our CAPS office. Specifically, and I want to call out Todd Sevig, who I just mentioned before, who's the director, kind of put forth this an innovative model where we would ensure that students got in more quickly to see an access specialist, see those access specialists so they can identify the students' needs, make sure they get to see a counselor when they need to, but even more importantly, provide them resources if and when they have to wait. So to identify those resources, and we've already seen some really positive effects and feedback from our students on that. Next slide. So the intake specialist will certainly help point students to some of those resources, but of course, everyone won't go into CAPS that needs support. And so we want to utilize technology in order to be able to make sure all the resources that we already have and that we're expanding in this initiative are readily available and visible to our students. To do that quickly, we're kind of reviewing web pages and making sure they're all connected. I think that can be done very fast. But more important and more excitingly, I think, is implementing new technologies that are going to use resources to identify what the students need can tailored to them. So this is going to be using big data, machine learning, our IT, as well as outside resources to really, in an innovative way, bring the students awareness to what they need, where it is, when they need it on this campus.
In conclusion, meeting the holistic needs of our students and becoming a health promoting campus will take time. We're off to a great start. The structure to sustain our work that we're creating will allow us to evolve into the future and ensure our success as a community. At this point, we're happy to take questions.
Any questions from the board, either here or remotely?
I have a question.
Yes, Regent.
I was wondering how you're proposing to kind of integrate this with physical care, mental health and physical care as well. You know, some of our most important assets here.
I'll do that, and if you're going to add into it. Yeah, I think in a couple of different ways. So first off, we're really defining health and wellness and well-being. So it's totally incorporating that physical care. As we've talked about that, and in particular, this last piece on the resources and how visible they are, we consider all of those resources. So for instance, it might be that you can go online and find out how long the wait time is at CCRB to get the need you have there, to add to the rec sports facilities as well. So all of that is included. And so when we talk about a health promoting campus, we're talking about the physical and mental resources. So as well as the academic resources. So I think one of the things that's really key with this work is that we realize that it's the whole student that needs support. And so all of that is included. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Regent Brown, and then Regent Illich is next. Go ahead,
Thanks.
Regent Brown.
Quick comment and question. When I came to school here as an undergrad 100 years ago, I came from a small town, not many resources in my school. I kind of floated through my 4+ years here, oblivious to all the many resources that are here. How are you going to connect students that may not come through the traditional, hospital or medical system to some of these resources? How will they know what the resources are?
That's a great question. as we've looked at the resource challenge, one of the things that was clear to us as we had 41 listening sessions last semester and heard from our students firsthand, folks indicated that there were a lot of resources and that we do a great job at the beginning as students enter the institution in talking about them. But later in a student's experience, when they find that they need one, it's not, top of mind for them. And so our first action was to really review, link together and take existing web pages that have both clinical and non-clinical resources and put them together on a student well-being site. What we're doing now is working to enable that site to have a chat function so that when a student is looking at that and they have a live question, that could be answered. Additionally, we took and publicized the wide array of existing coursework in student well-being that exists across the 19 schools and colleges, brought that all together to make that clear for our students. And then, because we were talking with our students, they told us that web resources weren't enough. And people would describe wanting this interactive, dynamic roadmap that would just know where they were and point them in the right direction. And that's when we started working with our colleagues in IT to do some of the transformative work that Amy described earlier in terms of using big data and analytics and resources and even customization, much like your shopping cart knows what you were looking for last week and then they offer you other things. We're trying to work towards having that sort of a technology in place for our students.
Thank you. Can I ask you to take down the slides, please, so we can see our remote regions? And Regent Illich, you're up.
Thank you. Amy and Laura, I just want to thank you. This is such an important topic and a great presentation. Quick question. I hear a lot from students about the delay or challenge to be able to access counselors, that if they call for an appointment, it takes a really long time or they have trouble accessing. Can you just address that so our students know that we are addressing that challenge?
Yeah, first, Denise, thanks for bringing that up because it probably is one of the things that we hear the most from our students and our concerns. So the initial access model that I talked about before is really going to be a key to that. What that means is that a student gets in very quickly in order to figure out what their needs are. Now, first, I want to highlight that there always has been, and there always will be a counselor on duty. If a student is in a need to see somebody and a counselor, not just an intake specialist that day, they will. That intake model has already started to reduce wait times. We had a 25% increase in CAPS needs this semester, and there's no way we would have been able to manage through that increased demand if it hadn't been for those intake specialists, seeing the students early, identifying their needs, and then getting them the resources. The other thing I want to identify here is that in order to keep us, because demand will continue, and demand may even continue to increase. We're creating a set of dashboards and metrics so that we can know how successful we are and so that we can make that visible to the students. And some of that might be what is the wait time as well as what are some other resources. So it is definitely top of mind. I will note the wait time varies based on demand. We know that there's ebbs and flows throughout the semester. Sometimes it's a day and sometimes it is a couple weeks, but a student in need will not wait a couple weeks. They will see somebody. Yeah.
Thank you.
The only thing I would also add to that is if there is a wait time of a few days or even up to a couple of weeks that Amy mentioned, the initial access model means that that student is also talked to by the specialist and offered other support along the continuum of care. So they might the next day go see a wellness coach. They might get, if they identify that what's really concerning them is academic stress, they would get the academic support they need from academic coaching. And so we're trying to use that point of access as a moment where we listen to what the student needs and respond to them with a multiplicity of options.
Thank you very much. Regent Brown again.
Talking about, measuring success, is there ever a point or a circuit breaker where it's just brute force needed to support, in other words, more resources given to these efforts to increase the number of counselors, et cetera? And we identified that circuit breaker so we can know, as those that work with the budget, when
Yeah.
to provide more.
Yeah. So first I want to thank, I was going to say it at the end, but I'm going to say it now since you brought this up. I want to thank all of the regions for the investment they made last budget. This all could not have happened without that. And so a lot of this was an investment. In addition to that, what you're talking about, the increase in counselors in particular, it sounds like with CAPS, almost, I'd say 3 of the last 5 years, we've increased counselors, and we will keep doing that with our students' need. But what is the magic number in some senses? We have people that look very carefully at what other universities are doing, what are the industry standards, what are the right metrics in order to measure that. But more importantly, I think are how quickly students are seeing the needs. Is that what you mean by a circuit breaker?
It is. I don't want to speak on behalf of all my regions, but I almost think I feel I can, that this is a priority for us. And
Yeah.
if more resources are needed, we're ready to.
Well, as the person that often stands in front of you between March and June talking about the budget, as those that don't know that's my other hat that I wear, I really appreciate that, and we will certainly be bringing that forth. And I think, sure you remember that last year we did talk about this, and we will keep. And I think that as I said, the pandemic, the challenges academically, the institutional racism, everything our students are suffering through right now and going through, it just makes us that much more prevalent. So it is a national crisis, and it is something that we believe we are being a leader in, and I hope we can continue to do that.
If there are no further questions, thank you very much, Amy and Laura. Thanks for all the hard work. Thank you. I now call upon Provost Collins to introduce the SACUA annual report.
Thank you, President Sissel. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Alan Yu. He is an associate professor in the College of Engineering and holds faculty appointments in mechanical and biomedical engineering departments, and also in the biophysics program. Professor Liu's work focuses on cellular dynamics and mechanics. And this year he is leading university-wide faculty governance as the chair of the Senate Advisory Committee on University Affairs. Professor Liu.
Thank you very much for response. And so I want to begin by saying on behalf of this SACUA Senate Assembly and the Faculty Senate, thank you for the opportunity to provide this central faculty governance update. So ongoing priority for faculty governance has been continued engagement concerning the reform of the university structure and policies to more effectively address sexual and gender-based misconduct on campus. As you may recall, in October 2020, SACUA convened a task force of faculty experts in response to the WilmerHale report regarding sexual misconduct perpetrated by former Provost Martin Filbert. In June 2021, SACUA shared the recommendations developed by this task force with all of you. We're encouraged to see reforms starting to take place, including the restructuring of the Office of Institutional Equity, OIE, to the new Equity, Civil Rights, and Title IX Office, ECRT. The important work that's being done by the Cultural Journey Working Group and the ongoing work on existing and new standard practice guides, SPG, such as implications of the protection and retaliation SPG that Professor was just mentioned earlier by President Schissel, and the revision of the policy on sexual and gender-based misconduct. But notice the recent change to the sexual and gender-based misconduct policy that will now permit appeals by faculty and staff in non-Title IX sexual and gender-based misconduct cases. Faculty governance has requested this change for a number of years, and we're happy to see that this request finally come to fruition. We're still seeking an appeals process for non-sexual and gender-based misconduct cases, which we'll continue to pursue in the future. While we're encouraged by the work that has been done so far, there is still much work to be done. There is ongoing need to restore trust on campus and confidence in the system. Changes to the structure of OIE are a start, including the change of reporting line from the Provost's office to the President's office, implementation of eyesight to track investigation and to facilitate record keeping, and hiring of additional staff who will take on the work of prevention by educating the campus community about sexual and gender-based misconduct. And staff will also assist complainants and respondents as they navigate the investigation process. Of great importance to faculty governance is continuing interest in the standing external oversight through an internal independent board of experts. Such a board of experts would oversee the university's culture, administrative integrity, and compliance, including creating an external mediation arbitration panel faculty and staff can elect to use if other channels fail to inspire confidence due to power imbalances that often are present on the university campuses. Restoring confidence and trust in the system also means increasing transparency and being willing to listen to those who have experienced is to share, faculty governance has also been requesting increased transparency when it comes to hiring, evaluation, and appointment of administrators. In response to the request of increased transparency, the Provost Office posted the process for Provost review of deans in October, and increased scrutiny of internal candidates for administrative appointments of dean and above is still needed, as well as specific criteria used for reappointment. A priority for this academic year is to facilitate the transition of the Administration Evaluation Committee, AEC survey, to a new centrally supported infrastructure, as well as facilitating the use of the AEC survey results to inform evaluation of administrators. A major initiatives that faculty governance is pursuing this year concerns evaluating the potential representation of additional non-tenure track faculty groups in the faculty senate. 16 schools and colleges across 3 campuses have clinical faculty. To evaluate this issue, SACWA has convened or has created 2 working groups, a clinical faculty working group and a clinical faculty reference group. The reference group consists of faculty volunteers from almost every unit, and they will collect data about the clinical faculty positions, including the details about their roles, the workloads, how they're appointed and reappointed. Provost Collins has provided support to contribute to this data collection process. The working group will compile and analyze this data, and this will be referred to the Senate Assembly Rules, Practices, and Policy Committee for the next steps. An additional initiative that I've begun this year is to improve communications with Faculty Senate through a monthly newsletter covering central faculty governance activities. This newsletter includes overview of SACWA meetings, Senate Assembly meetings, as well as Faculty Senate updates. These increased communications are intended to improve the awareness of faculty governance activities on campus and to encourage engagement and participation in central faculty governance in the future. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Questions for Professor Liu? Thank you very much, Alan. And in particular, thanks for stepping up to serve the faculty and the university. It's a heavy lift and it's greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. Thank you.
We now move on to our regular business agenda. First, the committee reports. The Finance, Audit, and Investment Committee will be reported on by Regent Hubbard.
Thank you, President Schlissel. The Finance, Audit, and Investment Committee, including member Regent Brown, discussed with EVP CFO Chattis development of a 5-year financial plan and the long-term portfolio asset allocation item that's on today's agenda.
Thank you very much. The Health Affairs Committee, Regent Brown.
Thank you, President Sissel. The Health Affairs Committee, including Regent Acker and Hubbard, met and received a clinical strategy network update and a pharmacy strategy plan. We also reviewed Michigan Medicine's financial and other informational dashboard. And finally, and maybe most importantly, we discussed the workload and stress this pandemic is placing on our staff. And again, just want to thank our staff for the amazing work they do in our community. We understand the stresses they're on and are doing everything we can to alleviate them.
Thank you, Regent Brown. The Personnel Compensation and Governance Committee report will be given by Regent Illich.
Thank you, President Schlissel. The PCG committee, including members Regent Acker and Bernstein, along with Vice President Churchill, met yesterday and received an update from Provost Collins on searches, policy, and other administrative developments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Regent Illich. We now move on to the consent agenda. The minutes and reports are available on the website. Our first oral report will come from Chancellor Grasso.
Thank you, President Schlissel. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Yunus Zaituncu from U of M Dearborn. He's one of the 2021 Massey Professors of the Year, and he's here in the audience. I'd like to give him. Zaituncu is an associate professor of mathematics, and he received his PhD from Ohio State University. A further indication that we will let no barriers stand in our way in attracting the best talent to our campus. He studies complex variables, operator theory, complex geometry and has been supported extensively by the National Science Foundation and leads one of our highly successful research experiences for undergraduate programs. We will be conducting in-person commencement exercises on December 18th and 19th, following our very successful model that we used in the spring. We'll be conducting 5 ceremonies over 2 days. Our commencement speaker will be U of M Dearborn alumna Huda Katan, founder and CEO of Huda Beauty, one of the fastest growing beauty brands in the world. Regent White will provide remarks on behalf of the Regents. We continue to add study abroad programs specifically tailored to our commuter student populations. They are shorter and more affordable. Our latest program is University of Gdańsk in Poland. We are also negotiating to host another program in Volterra, Tuscany. Although a featured setting of the Twilight Saga, we have no current plans to launch a major in vampire studies. Finally, as I have mentioned often, a major part of our strategic plan is to build a distinguished practice-based university. 3 of our colleges, engineering, business, and education and social services, naturally lend themselves to this approach and are well on their way to realizing this goal. Alternatively, colleges of arts and sciences have not typically aligned themselves with this approach. However, with strong leadership by our dean and strategic investments, our College of Arts, Sciences, and Letters is preparing to launch a practice-based learning initiative meant to enrich the students' experiences. 4 initial themes that align with areas of employment opportunities in the region are first to be launched: social and environmental justice, storytelling, arts, media, and culture, health and community, people, and technology. Thank you. Happy holidays and go blue.
Thank you very much, Chancellor Grasso. I next call upon the Flint campus report from Chancellor Dutta.
And thank you, President Stachel. I want to begin by introducing Dr. Anil Mishra, our new Dean of the School of Management, for your approval. He holds an AB in economics from Princeton and a PhD in business administration from the University of Michigan. Dr. Mishra brings both academic and industry experience to U of M Flint. He has served as a tenured professor at Michigan State and associate dean at North Carolina Central School of Business. He also holds a wealth of experience in the private sector, including at General Motors. We are very enthusiastic about his joining U of M Flint, and I look to your support and approval. It will be coming up. I just want to mention that the University Tower, which we hope to sell to Genesee County, it makes sound budgetary sense for the campus and furthers our academic priorities. It will also enhance our partnership with the county and benefit our faculty and students with internships, research, and other collaborative efforts. Next week, U of M Flint will hold a series of small in-person socially distanced commencement ceremonies like in Dearborn. I want to thank Regent White for her message, which will be played at each celebration. I'm very pleased to share with you that Governor Whitmer has appointed a U of M faculty, Heather Dawson, who is a professor in the College of Arts and Sciences, to the Michigan Environmental Permit Review Commission. This commission was created to advise the director of the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, and it is related to the permit applications to ensure adherence to Environmental Protection Act. And Professor Dawson will serve a 4-year term on the commission, which began November of 2021. The Michigan Secretary of State has named U of M Flint as one of the 6 winners in the Collegiate Voting Challenge for student participation in the 2020 presidential election. Our campus had the highest voter registration of any four-year university in the state. I want to thank the many faculty, staff, student leaders who helped drive this effort on our campus, especially Professor Jason Koznowski and Kimberly Sachs McManaway, staff members Gary Ashley and Mia McNeil, and students Carly Habron and Samantha Upmore. Finally, the U of M Flint Doctor of Physical Therapy in the College of Health Sciences has just been accredited for the full 10-year period with no citations. This accreditation represents the unwavering commitment of the program faculty and staff to providing an excellent education experience to students at U of M Flint. Happy holidays. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chancellor Dutta. I next call upon the student government report, which this month comes from the president of Rackham Student Government, Marshall Case. Marshall?
Great, thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marshall. I'm a fourth-year PhD candidate. In chemical engineering, and I'm also the president of the Rackham Student Government, the entity on campus here in Ann Arbor that represents 9,000 plus masters and PhD students. As we close another semester, I want to highlight some of the struggles graduate students continue to experience related to affordability. Specifically, I want to talk about three such sources of affordability in our community. Through partnership with the Central Student Government, Rackham, and several other student organizations on campus, RSG distributed over $40,000 to graduate professional students this semester alone and over $70,000 this year. However, we received over $140,000 in applications. Data gathered from this process indicate that graduate students are struggling to afford expenses as basic as groceries, feminine products, and academic equipment that are needed but not provided to do their jobs as instructors and researchers. These data also show that affordability issues are additionally prevalent in disadvantaged students. For example, women outnumber men nearly 2 to 1 in our estimation of financial need. Asian students represent over 40% of applicants, despite only being 15% of our population. And students identifying as not heterosexual are twice as likely to need financial aid. A majority of students have indicated that financial burdens are a major contributor to their stress. This program highlights the need for a university-wide program that continues to support students' financial well-being. Another issue that I want to highlight is the housing crisis in Ann Arbor. Recently, the city of Ann Arbor voted to protect renters from pressure to renew their leases early. While this measure represents a step in the right direction of liberating renters from the power imbalance of our housing crisis, it fails to address the problem completely. I personally have been pressured to renew my lease 7 days after moving in. This was accomplished by threatening to give my home to another applicant months before the early leasing ordinance says that that's allowed. I'm not an isolated case either. According to the Graduate Employee Organization, 91% of renters felt pressured to renew their lease before they were ready. These effects push students to Ypsilanti, limiting those who rely on public transportation, and further contributes to the gentrification of Ypsilanti. The university needs to build more dorms to acknowledge the effect that increased student enrollment has on housing availability here in Ann Arbor, and it also needs to make available more funds for housing emergencies. Finally, I want to highlight the burden that students of color and others are facing to address institutional racism within task forces and the committees on campus. While the university has taken steps to empower students' voices, this empowerment also creates an invisible tax where students slow their degree progress due to internal or external pressures to address problems they didn't help create. While staff and faculty are additionally stepping up to serve in similar roles, they're directly compensated for their time, whereas students are not. The university needs to acknowledge this imbalance by compensating students for diversity, equity, and inclusion work done on campus. Thank you for your attention and inviting me to speak. Happy holidays and go blue.
Thank you very much. Both personnel actions and personnel reports are in the materials. We have a large number of retirement memoirs in the materials, but Provost Collins would like to comment.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Schlissel. So it is an honor and a personal pleasure to note the retirement of Professor Edie Goldenberg and to recognize just a few of her many accomplishments as a faculty member and a leader. She served as the director of the Institute for Public Policy Studies, now the Ford School, and also as Dean of LSA. A scholar of American politics, Dr. Goldberg has worked tirelessly and very effectively to help our students understand and become engaged in our political system. She was instrumental in establishing the Michigan in Washington program, and most recently, she worked with students on our university and also collaborating in networks for universities across the state and across the country on the university's Turn Up, Turn Out effort, a nonpartisan Get Out the Vote initiative. And this year, that was a very important factor in achieving a 78% turnout rate among our students. And that's an 18% increase over 2016. We wish her all the best.
Thank you very much, Provost Collins. Degrees were mentioned, honorary degrees were mentioned in my opening remarks. I now call for a vote on the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. The consent agenda carries. We now move on to the regular agenda, finance and property. The first three items are information only. Item number 4, alternative asset commitment. Executive Vice President Chavez.
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. That carries. Item number 5, absolute return commitment. Executive Vice President Chavez.
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. Item number 6, long-term portfolio asset allocation. Vice President Chavez.
The board annually establishes a model portfolio for the long-term portfolio with investment allocation ranges for each individual asset class as guidelines for the investment of the portfolio for the ensuing fiscal year. This is a request to approve the current model portfolio as is, except for an increase in the maximum allocation to venture and private equity to 45% from 35%, and a corresponding change to the overall allocation to illiquid alternative assets to 65% from 55%. The change is requested to accommodate a temporarily high allocation to venture and private equity due to significantly large investment returns for venture and private equity relative to the returns of the other asset classes in the LTP. This allocation will gradually reduce over time as these investments liquidate and distribute cash. I recommend approval of this updated model portfolio.
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. Motion's approved. Item number 7, East University chiller replacement. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. We are requesting approval for the East University plant chiller replacement project. Tongue twister there. 2 of the original steam absorption chillers have been replaced with electric chillers, and the remaining 2 steam chillers are nearing the end of their reliable service lives. Replacement with an electric chiller will result in energy savings, reduced operational and maintenance costs, increased reliability, and will support the university goal to utilize renewable energy. I recommend approval of this action request.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. I heard a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. Item number 8, the Lineweber Computer Science and Information Building. Executive Vice President Chavez.
We are seeking approval for schematic design and authorization to proceed with construction of the Lineweber Computer Science and Information Building. I want to thank the state of Michigan for providing $30 million of funding for this project and the Lineweber Foundation for their generous gift of $25 million. The remainder of the funding is from the Provost Resources, College of Engineering, and School of Information Resources. This project will allow the School of Information to relocate onto North Campus and provide expansion space for computer science and engineering. We continue to make progress on the geothermal system to provide heat and cooling for the building. We anticipate bringing that project for approval in early 2022. We have drilled 2 test borings to nearly 800 feet, and the engineers are utilizing that data to appropriately size the system. We'll have more to say about this system in a couple of months. Fred Clark, principal of Pelly Clark and Partners, is here today to present the design of the project.
great honor to be here. This has been, I would say, a labor of love. It's a project we're extremely proud of. It's our first project at the University of Michigan. And we think that this is going to be really a spectacular addition to the North Campus. She had to run out to grab our luggage because we were running a little bit late, but I'm joined today by Mariko Masloka, my partner, who headed up the design team all during the last 2 years of our work with you. In addition to that, we've worked with IDS, an architecture firm in Troy, Michigan, very close collaboration, and one that we're very, very proud of. If you look at the first slide, you'll see that the yellow building is the new building. You can see how critically important it is to the Grove. It really terminates the northern edge of the Grove. It's a sizable building. It's almost as big as Bicester itself. If you add Bicester and Dow together, it's roughly the equivalent size of the two buildings together. It's a prominent location that actually slopes some 40 feet from the south to the north. So the new building is essentially occupying a hill as it rises from the south to the north. The new building also will have multiple connections across and through, weaving itself into the existing circulation system of Bicester. The intention ultimately is that Bicester and the new building are essentially woven together as one large collegial community. So we're going to great pains to be sure that that is accessible, ease of access, and the wayfinding is extremely clear and easy to use. The next slide shows the first level. This is essentially the level that you would enter the building in from the Grove. If you can look carefully in the lower right-hand corner of the new building is the entrance, and I don't know if that can be pointed to by a mouse, but that lower entrance, highly visible from the Grove, will take you into the building. That entrance actually is also the beginnings of a 40-foot rise up the hill with stairs and elevators that will ultimately attach to the new northeast entrance that I'll talk about in just a few minutes. It's very, very clear in this drawing that major corridor that connects all the way through to Bicester and then continuing to the east to Dow. This is a floor that is primarily a 1,000 seat auditorium spaces for both active learning and more traditional learning. It's full of collaborative spaces, it's full of maker spaces, and from the exterior, highly, highly visible in terms of the work that's going on the inside. The second level, very similarly, is attached to Bicester. You can see the bridge connection in the north. This is a floor plan that's also full of classrooms, offices, collaboration space. The yellow space in the center is collaboration space. Plus, in addition to that, there are a number of maker spaces that occupy that 40-foot rise from the south to the north, building the maker spaces into the hillside, highly transparent. So you can imagine in the evening, a building that's just glowing with activity, glowing with a kind of sense of discovery and life that this kind of project and this kind of academic and pedagogy should really be evidencing into the future. The third level similarly connects at its lower level with two bridges on both the third and fourth level, weaving directly into the pre-existing circulation of Bicester. Again, a mixture of classrooms, collaboration spaces, and laboratories. This drawing also shows in the upper right-hand corner, the upper northeast entrance from the upper parking lot into the upper levels of the central spine of the building. The fourth level, very similarly, you see the bridge connection to Bicester again, a wonderful mixture of collaboration space, that's the yellow space right in the middle of the floor plan, as well as offices, collaboration, laboratories. It's a U-shaped floor plan to maximize daylight to the interior functions of the building. This is going to be a building that's going to be brightly lit, very, very friendly, very open, and very easy to find one's way around inside of. The fifth level, the level above this, also shows a mixture of classrooms, laboratory spaces, collaboration spaces, very similar to the fourth level below. When you go to the exterior, we're now looking at the view as if you're standing in the Grove, looking back at that lower southeast entrance to the main building, just in the center of the slide. We're using an identical brick to the brick of Bicester. We're being very, very careful to be contextual and supportive of Bicester, while at the same time creating a building that has its own distinct identity. And we think that this balance of new and old could be a very, very rich story that one tells about the growth of the sciences in this part of Michigan's campus. Next. If you walk just to your west, you're walking toward Murfin, you look back at the same southern facade, but you see the facade steps down in size and scale so that it creates a very gentle gateway into the campus from the west, but it still extends the architecture, the scale, the materiality of the existing Bicester to the west. And finally, if you are now on the north, looking at the northeast entrance, the new parking is just to your right in this slide. The entrance, the northeast entrance, is in the very center of the slide. You see the 60-foot space between the new and the old building. You see that 60-foot space that's once again very, very heavily populated with activities. And again, what I really look forward to is the kind of day to night aspect of a building like this, so that it comes alive very much in the evening as you see all of the work that goes on the inside. So I hope you can sense that we are very, very pleased with the status of the building, very pleased with the design, and extremely pleased with our work with the University of Michigan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fred. We seek your approval for this action request.
Do I have a motion?
I have a question, please. Sorry, I texted, but maybe you
Of
didn't.
course,
see.
I'm sorry, Denise, I didn't see. Let me do the motion in a
Okay.
second, and then I'll take questions. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Regent Illich has a question or a comment. Regent Illich?
Thank you. I just didn't see, sorry if I missed it, but I didn't think I saw any signage. Is there signage for the building, like Block M, the name?
There will be, definitely. There will be signage in both the southeastern entrance, the lower entrance off of the Grove, as well as on the northeastern entrance. In addition to that, there is an extensive wayfinding program inside the building that will take you very, very carefully to your destinations as you also move back and forth between the existing Bicester and the new building. We want there to be a great deal of clarity between the two, but yes, prominent signage in the southeast entrance and prominent signage in the northeast entrance.
Can you include the signage as to just what it would look like as, I assume, is it a Block M? Is it the name? Is it lower, how we identify buildings with the blue? It would just be helpful to get that detail.
We're working on that right now.
Yes.
You know, and we'll be coming back. We're just making sure it fits consistent with the gifts and the other items that we need to. So we'll have that available.
Thank you.
Other questions or?
Yeah, Mark, President Schlissel, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for the work that you've done on this important building. I just wanted to ask, back in about 2 years ago, I said that it would be real important, for, at least for me, to see our architecture, engineering, and construction department do a total life cycle analysis for a net zero building versus a life cycle cost of a traditional building. And I'm wondering if that analysis has been done with respect to this project.
Yes, that analysis is ongoing. It's very much a part of the work that we're doing right now. We're not really ready to report to you on that right now, but it's very much a part of the design considerations, mechanical considerations at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions? Can we now vote, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. The motion carries. Item number 9, University of Michigan Health System Hospital Electrical Substation Replacement, Executive Vice President Chavez.
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I heard a motion and a second. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion's approved. We now have 2 supplemental items. The first is the Rackham Memorial Building in Detroit. Executive Vice President Chavez.
The proposed renovation of the Rackham Memorial Building on Farnsworth Street in Detroit is described in the action request, and we seek your approval of the project and to engage architects with the design. The estimated cost of the project is $40 million, with funding proposed from university investment proceeds. Once the facility is operational, the net increased annual facility operating costs will be approximately $300,000 per year. We will not renew 2 leases in Detroit currently used to house many of the programs that will relocate into the Rackham building. Susan, what else would you like to add?
Yes, thank you. Well, moving forward to renovate the Rackham Memorial Building in Detroit Cultural Center will advance the University of Michigan's engagement in our state's largest metro hub. From K-12 initiatives to research endeavors to community partnerships, we're excited by this unique opportunity to support and enhance our extensive activities and partnerships and further our mission of education, research, and service in collaboration with the city's residents, government, business, and institutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I have a second comment, President Schlissel.
Okay, comments and questions?
Yes, I just really quickly, I just wanted to thank Provost Collins and the team that's working on this. A continued and growing presence in the city of Detroit is crucial for our university. And I'm really pleased and thrilled that we are continuing to occupy the Rackham building and will continue to do so now for many more years in the future as it fits more programs. So thank you and your team for doing that. I look forward to voting for this.
Thank you very much. Other comments or questions before we proceed to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. Another supplemental on the sale of real estate, the North Bank Building for UN Flint, Executive Vice President Chavez.
We propose selling the building known as the University Tower on the Flint campus to Genesee County at the fair market value price of $8.5 million. After paying off $5.5 million of debt used to purchase the property, the planned use of the remaining $3 million will be in support of Flint campus capital needs. We seek your approval for this action.
Thank you very much.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. We now move on to the conflicts agenda. Items 10 through 17 are conflict of interest items, each of which requires 6 votes for approval. The regents have carefully reviewed all of these items and will consider them together as a block in one vote unless any regent requests individual consideration of or recusal from voting on a particular item. Does anyone have any questions about a particular item? Would any regents like to request recusal from voting on any items? I now call for a vote on items 10 through 17. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I've heard a motion and a second. Please, by show of hands, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I see unanimity in favor. Thank you very much. And I heard Regent White say aye, so thank you for that. Moving forward, approval to establish a new department. Provost Collins? This is a new Department of Robotics. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The motion carries. And finally, approval of revision to the University of Michigan Health System Board bylaws. Executive Vice President Runge.
Nothing to add, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Now, come on, are you just messing with me?
Yeah. details.
A little bit.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. That motion carries as well. We now move on to the public comment section of the meeting. Vice President Churchill is attending remotely, but we will ask Erin Katz from the Vice President's office to help moderate the public comment section. Erin, thank you very much. Please proceed.
Thank you. I would like to remind each speaker you have up to 3 minutes to address the board. Topics may require study and analysis, so the president and the regents will not necessarily respond to your comments at today's meeting. With that, I'll call the first speaker, Olivia Rath.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is Olivia Rath, and I'm a current dual master's degree student earning degrees from the Ross School of Business and the School for Environment and Sustainability. I grew up in Michigan and graduated from the College of LS&A in 2016. I worked for Deloitte Consulting for 4 years before deciding to return to Michigan. I am focused on applying strategy and finance to accelerate the decarbonization of our economy in a just manner. As a double Wolverine and Michigander, I have long recognized the power of the institution to influence social progress, and I hold a deep appreciation for what Michigan has offered me, which is why I hold it to a high standard. I'd like to highlight a few of my experiences from my time at Michigan. In undergrad, I watched my best friend, a sexual assault survivor, navigate a bureaucratic system that regularly questioned her experience. Dismayed by the survivor experience on campus and with the support of then VP Royster Harper, we organized a retreat and an activism event for the 5,800 survivors on campus at the time. Fast forward to this semester, we've witnessed the courage, strength, and resolve of survivors of assault led by John Vaughn. In the absence of courageous leadership from the top, these issues have gone unaddressed for far too long, and many voices have been dismissed, questioned, or silenced. In April of 2015, my classmates wearing orange t-shirts flooded this very Regents meeting as part of the Divest and Invest campaign. Fast forward to this spring, plans to shift investment from fossil extraction were announced 6 years later. In 2015, I attended lectures by climate leader Bill McKibben and economist Naomi Klein. They spoke of urgency for action, the risk of complacency. Fast forward to today. We have formed committees, developed goals, and released a report. Ambition has exceeded action. Our neighbors, rivals to the south have bettered us. Projects such as the geothermal installation on North Campus should be celebrated, but the university needs to move with greater urgency. We cannot afford another 5 years. I cannot underplay the significance of what is at stake. The carbon that is emitted by our fleets and by the fuel that powers our buildings will outlast most of our children. Our lack of urgency to adopt solutions that have proven to be economically viable translates directly to future health, economic, and societal suffering. I'm confident that Michigan has the tools to emerge as a leader, but the pace of action has been too slow and not without consequence. We need leaders at every level of the university to address these issues head on, and regents that will hold them accountable. I ask that you leverage your position to hire and engage with leaders with the willingness to listen, the boldness to act, with the courage and knowledge to address systemic racism, sexual assault, and climate change. Leaders with racial and gender diversity and representing a wide range of thought and lived experience. Students, residents, alumni, and community members like myself will continue showing up to support and fight for Michigan. Thank you, and go Blue.
Speaker is Craig Register.
Good afternoon. My name is Craig Register, and I've been associated with U of M for over 30 years as a student in the late 20th century, as an alum, and I've worked, next year will make 20 years that I've worked for U of M. I've been the administrative director since 2008 of the Semester in Detroit program and also a lecturer in the program. And we're happy to hear about Rackham. So thank you for passing that because our program will be housed in Rackham. I'm speaking today on behalf and along with friends and colleagues from the 1U Coalition. I have a unique perspective to share that I think stands out across U of M. Semester in Detroit classes are the only place across all three campuses where you'll find students from all three campuses. There are no other places like that. There's a lot that I see in the classroom that I wish U of M regents and other administrators could observe because it is a very unique place. What you would see, despite the illusions of intellectual superiority that are all too common throughout Ann Arbor, and I've been in Ann Arbor for a long time, I've seen them, is that Dearborn and Flint students are not only generally more mature in their intellectual capacities, but they're more gracious and humble in their contributions to Detroit communities. Don't get me wrong, students from Ann Arbor are also quite remarkable. We all know this. But sometimes the elitist baggage many have accumulated tends to get in the way and is much heavier than students from Dearborn and Flint. Being active with LEO, the Lecturers Union, has also introduced me to dozens of remarkably talented yet underappreciated faculty from Dearborn and Flint. Because of our tireless organizing efforts in our most recent contract campaign, U of M finally conceded to a long overdue principle of salary parity for all newly hired lecturers, regardless of their campus, even though it'll be at the end of our contract, but that's okay. This was an extremely important moment in the history of this institution, and it begs a critical question. If U of M can acknowledge that we should pay newly hired lecturers the same on all three campuses, and therefore recognize that they all have the same inherent value, then why can't U of M provide the same level of support and investment for students and staff across our three campuses? Unfortunately, as we know, Flint and Dearborn have recently used financial stress as a rationale to cut programs such as applied music and Africana studies. The administration says these programs are cut because of a lack of student demand, but some programs such as applied music had full classes when they were canceled. We cannot create a separate and unequal U of M in which students in Ann Arbor can be trained in disciplines that have lifetime earning potential and opportunities for personal growth, while students in Flint and Dearborn are offered only the bare minimum of skills, credentials, badges, or certificates. We know that programs differ across the campuses. We understand that, but at a minimum, the regents must commit to fully funding all campuses so they all can offer the full suite of traditional programs in the liberal arts and sciences. And I'm almost done. This isn't about money because we all know the resources are here. None of the recent cuts are financially necessary, and I have one more short paragraph for U of M to maintain its AAA credit rating. This is a question of political will and moral fortitude, and if there's really a commitment to DEI on this campus, then let's put support behind that to our other campuses in Flint and Dearborn.
Thank you.
My students are watching. I hope you'll do the right thing. Thank you.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Larson Lovedahl. I'm a third-year dual master's student with mechanical engineering and Cs. I'm excited to speak with you today about the urgency and the opportunities of the energy transition, in particular carbon neutrality, and the critical role that U of M has to play on its campuses and in society more broadly. I came to the University of Michigan planning to research transformative technologies needed to tackle the climate crisis. And here, I've been grateful to find a remarkable community of climate thinkers who have helped me gain invaluable skills and understand that the primary challenge of the climate crisis is no longer technological innovation. Rather, it is the just and equitable implementation of existing tools. My journey is just one of many that highlight the value of carbon neutrality as a living, learning classroom. It is an opportunity, not an obstacle to fulfilling U of M's educational mission. By equipping students to lead climate action founded on principles of justice, we can build their agency to address, as President Schlissel calls it, the defining scientific and social challenge of our time. So what does solving this implementation challenge mean? It means acting quickly to fund the multitude of technologically proven and financially beneficial efficiency measures available across Michigan's three campuses, like the tens of millions of dollars needed just to install LED lights, which will drive greater savings than the cost of installation. It means asking any candidate for a leadership position at U of M how they will tackle this tremendous challenge. And if their answer does not ring with conviction, vision, and capability, saying that this is not a candidate who can lead at the University of Michigan. To navigate this pivotal transition, which requires decreasing emissions by 50% in just 9 years, we need leadership. Leadership that is bold and unconstrained, leadership that listens and is committed to the persevering through the complexities of genuine change making, diverse leadership at all levels of the university with clear accountability for progress on a justice-based transition to carbon neutrality. We've taken one step by hiring a new CFO, Mr. Chavez, with or track record of creative energy finance efforts, but it's not enough. These qualities need to be primary criteria in the search for the new president, provost, and of course, the new executive leader for carbon neutrality. You as regents can set the tone, ensuring that from the president to department chairs, from athletics to Michigan medicine, everyone knows that carbon neutrality is an essential part of their responsibilities and the work of this institution. Students are engaged, our futures as alumni and humans depend on swift action. Parents and peers are watching to see if U of M chooses to deliver on its carbon neutrality commitments. And the world is watching to see if the US #1 public institution truly houses the leaders and best. Thank you for your time. Go Blue.
Good afternoon. I am Mary Jo Keatsman, a proud Flintstone of 26 years, hired to teach Renaissance literature. I live on Avon Street in Flint, named by Edward Thompson in the 1850s to celebrate his passion for Shakespeare. His rare book collection now lives in Hatcher Grad Library. Flint is so much more than cars and a water crisis. Over the last 10 years, it has become clear to me that the humanities are Flint's one true hope. I saw this firsthand when a class of 16 students adapted Shakespeare's King Lear to Flint. The play offered a perfect lens for us to think about the bleaker aspects of deindustrialization, and it empowered students to do positive things with symptoms of group trauma, mental illness, and drug addiction. Other similar projects followed, including a novel about a shooting in a Flint high school with characters inspired by Renaissance literature. The pandemic spurred me to take this work out of the classroom, and now a team of 47 writers are mapping and describing routes through our overlooked region, Flint, Saginaw, Bay City, and the Thumb, blessedly impure Michigan. Roosevelt's Federal Writers Project produced state guides in 1930s America, and we are doing a regional guide in 2022. The impetus is the same, to lift people out of depression by taking stock of human resources. Gathering these 47 writers was only possible because of the connections that I've made through 26 years of teaching. We have many students and many alumni on our team. Our app designer is a former double major in English and computer science, and he plans to create an anti-app that will loosen the grip of technology and encourage a questing mindset. Because he writes, young people like me are desperate to connect to our surroundings in authentic ways. Zach attributes his innovative thinking to his literary education, which included courses in theory and Renaissance epic. Sadly, we can't offer courses like this in Flint anymore, and soon we will be down to 2 faculty members with literature PhDs. Flint needs more Zachs, but we won't have more Zachs or interesting exploratory projects like this new WPA guide without a long-term institutional commitment to the humanities that's a commitment to the health of communities. The factory worker father of a former student had a mantra. It's not for me to wonder why, just do or die. When I told her, that's a line from Tennyson, she smiled. Flint workers, their kids and grandkids need poetry as much as they need bread. I'll make one more point. I've heard today a lot about mental health and empathy and practice-based initiatives in CAS departments. We're doing all of that in Flint. We just need the financial support so we can keep doing it. Thank you for the opportunity to address the assembly.
Jacob Letterman.
Jacob Letterman, Associate Professor at UM Flint. We live in a time when cultural symbols are central to national debates. Some say that this emphasis on symbols rather than policy is misguided. I disagree. Symbolism and representation matter. Of course, so too does action. At the last Regents meeting, Regent Acker brought up unprompted his distress over the lack of buildings named after African Americans on campus. Although this lack of representation troubles me as well, I was concerned by something else during that meeting. Regent Acker spoke on the UM Flint campus, Flint, with the largest percentage of Black students of our 3 campuses. He did so at a campus that is putting its Africana Studies major on moratorium. He did so at an institution that recently reimagined the Go Blue Guarantee to cut out 70% of income eligible students. He did so at a campus that has lost faculty of color, some by retirement, but others because of their deep disappointment with our institution's profound austerity. Opportunities at UM Flint are being diminished. The CAS Dean is eliminating programs in service to a leaner budget. Some say that this reflects student demand, but the situation is complicated. When courses aren't offered, when faculty leave and aren't replaced, students take fewer courses in those areas, and they appear deficient on balance sheets and credit hour production. I don't blame the CAS Dean or Chancellor who are working under punishing constraints. Because of inaction by our elected regents, those who serve the long-term interests of our state and campus, our leadership has little room to maneuver. President Schlissel will be gone in a year, but his disinterest in our campus will have wrought havoc on the precious and fragile bonds that comprise our campus community. These bonds have nurtured generations of students in topics from biology to Africana studies. We can prepare for the future and protect that which has made our institution crucial to one of the most resilient regions of our state. Universities across the country are unsure of how COVID is affecting current and future enrollment. Chancellor Dutta aims for a 10,000 student campus in the near term. We need the support of central admin and elected regions while we come out of this pandemic. Instead, we are dismantling opportunities that cannot easily be put back together. Regent Acker, given your interest in these topics, we are asking you to publicly commit to working with the CAS Dean, Development, and President Schlissel to endow Africana studies for future generations. Will you commit here to doing so? Regent Acker?
I think we'll all commit to look at the issue. I know we've spoken about it before, but
we have compiled some preliminary policy proposals to share with you in light of central admin and regental inaction. I'm handing out here a colleague is handing out a proposal to highlight Flint and Dearborn in the upcoming Tri-Campus Capital campaign. Fully funding a Go Blue Guarantee and powerfully marketing it across the state would help ensure future success. I'm also providing a copy of page 11 of Professor Donarski's Go Blue Guarantee pilot study, which shows that eligible Ann Arbor students have between a 3.3 and 4.0 GPA. I suspect you know that admin's post facto justification of the GPA policy was misleading. Additionally, you will find UM Flint's internal analysis of how much a Go Blue Guarantee would cost.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank
Committing
you.
to being the option for a comprehensive campus in our region is something we all agree on. The university is mandated under Act 51 to provide the inhabitants of this state with the means of acquiring thorough knowledge of the various branches of literature, science, and the arts. These programs are indispensable and they are part of our statutory duty. Thank you.
I'm a second-year master's student in the School for Environment and Sustainability. Like most of my generation, I'm deeply concerned about climate change and the injustice that many face from this crisis. My education has been focused on environmental justice related to poverty and how vulnerable populations are adapting to a changing climate. I'm here to relay an urgent and dire message about climate injustice and the necessity of including women, minorities, youth, and those most impacted by the climate crisis at the decision-making table. I was one of the 13 students sent by the university to attend the United Nations 26th Climate Conference last month in Glasgow, Scotland. The conference sought to highlight gender, youth, climate injustice, and financing for developing countries. While many agreements and commitments were created, they did not achieve the goals of the limiting warming to the critical 1.5 degrees C, and they did not get adequate financing for developing countries. So many vulnerable populations will be devastated at the current trajectory of 2.5 degrees C. The conference had a lot of show and talk and limited quantifiable action. I see similarities between this and the university with talk of environmental justice, but little to show with seeable action.
Climate justice begins with understanding that vulnerable populations bear a larger burden from climate change, and this can exacerbate inevitable social outcomes. Vulnerable populations include the poor, racial and ethnic minorities, children, the elderly, the homeless, and those with chronic health conditions. 2021 has been a year of landmark policy implementation for climate justice. In the first 30 days in office, President Biden made tackling America's persistent racial and economic disparities a central part of his plan to combat climate change. Prioritizing environmental justice for the first time in over a generation. Additionally, this February, Governor Whitmer announced that a justice and equity-based framework is being created for Michigan's climate plan, which calls for transition to a carbon neutral Michigan by 2050. That includes communities disproportionately affected by climate change. Therefore, I'm asking the university to create a climate justice plan with university faculty and community leaders specialized in climate justice, and then to implement this plan with urgency. This plan must include more affordable housing options in Ann Arbor to ease the commutes and associated emissions for so many at the university and medical center that cannot afford to live in Ann Arbor. These actions are critical to guarding the reputation of the university and to achieving the goals set for carbon neutrality. Referring to the UN Climate Conference, my favorite events that I attended were the Women's Summit and the Youth and Climate Summit. While all other events at the conference left me with a feeling of doom to where the world was heading with climate change, the groundwork that women, minorities, and youth are laying is inspirational. One speaker that stood out to me was Justin, a student from Detroit and a current member on Michigan's Advisory Board for Environmental Justice. He highlighted that many times leaders discount the intelligence and power the youth carry with them to affect incredible change. We're at a pivotal point where the university has the power to affect societal change by acknowledging climate justice and giving more youth, women, and minorities decision-making roles. Thank you.
Good afternoon to the board, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Evan Gonzalez. I am a fifth-year PhD candidate in the Nuclear Engineering and Radiological Sciences Department here at the Ann Arbor campus. Typically on a Thursday afternoon, I would be stowed away in my office writing code to simulate neutron physics that might someday be used to design a new nuclear reactor. But today I stand before you to relay a message of urgency again for the university to act on combating climate change. Last month, I had the opportunity to attend the United Nations' 26th climate conference in Glasgow, Scotland. Like many people from my generation, I am frustrated with the pace that world leaders are taking to enact meaningful climate change policy, but I am not without hope. There are several hopefully significant pledges that were announced to reduce global methane emissions, end deforestation, transition to electric vehicles, and divest from fossil fuels and invest in clean energy sources. There are also significant announcements from countries like France, the UK, and the US that they will be investing heavily to bring advanced nuclear reactor technologies to market. In the United States, nuclear reactors provide more than half of carbon-free electricity generation, and they operate more than 90% of the year, through the night and through the long Michigan winters. The last 5 years have seen landmark bipartisan legislation passed through Congress to bring advanced reactor technologies online to assist in fighting climate change. A piece of legislation that I am particularly excited about is the National Nuclear University Research Infrastructure Reinvestment Act of 2021, or HR 4819. The legislation has growing bipartisan support, including a co-sponsorship from Representative Peter Meyer from Michigan. The legislation would lay the foundation for a new generation of university research reactors to be constructed across the country. For 46 years, until 2003, the university was home to a nuclear reactor on North Campus that served as a hub of multidisciplinary research for fields including medicine, cellular biology, chemistry, physics, mineralogy, archaeology, anthropology, and nuclear science. And it attracted multi-institution participation from other universities, national laboratories, private companies, and federal agencies. The research that the reactor facilitated precluded the university's nuclear engineering department achieving its number one ranking in the country, and is the only department in the College of Engineering to hold that distinction. The students and faculty in my department are working every day to advance technologies that we believe will help fight climate change. And I believe that you could help us win that fight A new research reactor would help train tomorrow's nuclear science experts, experts that will design and operate the next generation of carbon-free nuclear reactors that we will need to fight climate change. A new research reactor would facilitate a research platform that will further nuclear advancements in the 21st century. The rest of the world recognizes the role that nuclear will play in combating climate change. And I'm asking that the university and the Board of Regents recognize that as well. Thank you for your time, and go blue.
Daniel Joseph. Daniel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Burchak. I'm Assistant Professor of Anthropology at Flint and twice a graduate of the Ann Arbor campus. I'm here to address a powerful and dangerous myth about Flint's College of Arts and Sciences, one that has been used to justify austerity on my campus, resulting in the cutting of key academic programs. This is the myth that we are somehow failing. Your campus is a mess. You aren't giving students what they want. We feel like we are throwing good money after bad. I cannot count the number of times I have heard such sentiments from members of this board. But is this myth of our failure true? The track record of our graduates would emphatically suggest otherwise. Graduates of Flint's College of Arts and Sciences pursue graduate degrees at prestigious institutions like Princeton, MIT, and Johns Hopkins. They lead local community organizations and nonprofits like the Latinx Tech Center and the Arab American Heritage Council. They found local Flint businesses like Kama Bookstore, which was recently featured on the www.umich.edu homepage. And by the way, I have a letter here from Egypt Otis, that grad, who has asked me to pass along to you, condemning the closure of the Africana Studies program on our campus. CAS grads, they serve in the Peace Corps. They write community development grants for organizations like the Flint and Genesee Chamber of Commerce and the Michigan Municipal League. CAS graduates work as union organizers. The local field offices of several state legislators are staffed by College of Arts and Sciences grads. Our graduates win prestigious awards in the fine arts like the Cressage Artist Fellowship and perform around the country on stage and screen. And they fill the ranks of local music education and performance organizations, such as the much acclaimed El Ballet Folklorico Estudiantil. Tell me, does that sound like failure to you? This list, it's just the tip of the iceberg, what I came up with in 15 minutes on a Saturday afternoon. And yet many of these students graduated from programs that now are feeling the brunt of the austerities. Africana Studies, English and foreign languages, the fine arts. The truth is, our College of Arts and Sciences isn't failing, but it is being failed by policymakers such as yourselves. It is particularly dismaying that a majority Democratic board would turn its back on a college that supports so much cultural and community development work in Flint and the surrounding region. And an important irony here is that this turn towards a more conservative vision of higher ed isn't even a good business model. Just last week, I spoke with a CAS student, and I know she isn't alone, who is transferring because she can see no way to complete her major given program cuts. The austerity is literally pushing away paying customers. Regent Beam, let me invite you to travel around Flint with me for the day, visiting all of the CAS graduates doing community development work in our shared neighborhood. I think you owe it to them to explain why you see their majors as deserving to be cut, despite what they have done with their educations. What do you say? I'll be waiting for your email. In the meantime, I ask this board to stop trafficking in the myth that my college is failing. Renew this institution's commitment to equity and public goods by making an investment in the transformative work that we in CAS do for our students in our community every day. And know that this and every subsequent November, before I cast my vote, I will be reflecting upon whether you have done this. Thank you.
Liz Rowan. Liz Rowan. Is Liz here?
Hi, I'm Liz Rowan. I'm a professor on the Dearborn's campus, and I'm also an Ann Arbor alum. So today I'm going to draw attention to some troubling circulating institutional language as austerity shapes the culture on regional campuses when Ann Arbor's campus becomes more and more opulent, which is what I've been noticing since I graduated years ago. We become more austere and Arbor becomes more opulent. So I'm just going to use one example. According to its PR website, Ann Arbor has high research activity and competes for faculty and students with other national and international institutions that do similar level of research. Flint and Dearborn are regional schools whose faculty and academic programs are held to different standards than Ann Arbor. Indeed, Faculty on the Dearborn and Flint campuses teach more classes and might do less research quantitatively than Ann Arbor faculty, relying on the teacher-scholar model. However, in any academic field, it's corrupt to judge someone by their institution. That's what blind review is for. So when publishing, in my example, when I publish an edited collection, my work doesn't go to the end of the book because I'm a regional scholar. That would be ridiculous. So I don't think Central Admin PR should insinuate to the public that its fellow U of M scholars are somehow subpar, provincial, and or not competitive hires, especially as tenure track jobs become rare. So why is Ann Arbor competing with members of its own institution at all? Why not emphasize how the campuses work synergistically to solve problems and serve the public? I think central administration cannot have anything extraordinarily positive or glowing to claim about its regional campuses and its PR, not only because it really doesn't know these faculty or students, as we've been talking about, because it has backed itself into a corner. Hierarchical differences between Ann Arbor and its regional campuses defends its otherwise indefensible budget model. So we've all heard that the Dearborn and Flint campuses are not entitled to any money from the Ann Arbor endowment because this endowment has been earmarked for specific purposes by donors. The donors shape the use of the money, so any resources from it going to the regional campuses would be unethical. But according to my sources, an original donor to the university is the state of Michigan in 1837. And as the primary source documents actually quote that this is so the people of Michigan specifically could get an affordable education. It could be argued, therefore, that it is unethical for central administration to create a culture with its PR to the public, its budget, and its related policies so that equity between the main campus and the regional campuses is discouraged and even allegedly impossible because of its special interests. If you want to keep talking about difference, this culture violates the spirit of the original donor's planned mission of the university to deliver affordable education to in-state students, which best describes the great majority of students attending Dearborn and Flint campuses. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bennett Wallach, and I'm a student here on the Ann Arbor campus studying history in the LSI. I was looking forward to hearing from the Flint and Dearborn committee today, but I guess they have no notable action to report. But that's not what I'm really here to discuss. First, I'm going to call on the university to expand its $15 minimum wage to student workers. Just this morning, I received an email from the history department advertising a job that would be really great for me to take for my career, as well as help me build meaningful relationships with faculty in the department that would help in my academic career. Unfortunately, the pay is only $12 an hour, which just doesn't cut it in a city like Ann Arbor, especially when I could just walk down the street and get a job at a coffee shop paying $16.50 an hour. You know, it's unfortunate that I have to potentially choose between a well-paying job and one that's good for my career. Why not extend, Flint and Dearborn, which both have more students working their way through college the best they can, would both also extensively benefit from this change. Why not extend to hardworking students on all three campuses of Bone and offer competitive paying jobs in a place where they already are spending most of their time? Secondly, I want to condemn the ongoing austerity that is being carried out in Flint and Dearborn. I was at the meeting when all you guys approved a one-time $20 million allotment to Flint and Dearborn, which I was very excited to hear about. But looking back at the last year, that money hasn't materialized in meaningful ways, with a lack of transparency on the Flint and Dearborn campuses, and SLISL rolling previously bargained for spending into those funds. Regardless of what has been done with those funds, they were never enough in the first place. $20 million that was given at a time of intense austerity has deprived Flint and Dearborn students the opportunity to take classes in the liberal arts and sciences that they deserve. This is unacceptable behavior from one of the richest public institutions in the country. If it really is about the money, then why don't we look at cutting administrator salaries? The money allocated to President SLISL's retirement could easily pay for this changes to money of these departments. So if it's about money, why don't we do something about that? Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Gabosic, and I'm a student from the Flint campus. I would also like to speak today about the cuts to the College of Arts and Sciences on the Flint campus, cited as financial stress and low enrollment. This is unnecessary and completely against the mission of the university, and let me tell you why. The entire budget for the Flint campus is $154 million. The amount of profit gained just in 2021 by the endowment, $4.7 billion. The spending and opportunity gap between us and the Ann Arbor campus is already outrageous. $208,000 is the amount allocated per student to the Ann Arbor campus. $22,000, about 10 times less, is allocated per student at Flint. President Schlisel himself has said, the University of Michigan cannot be excellent without being diverse in the broadest sense of the word. We must ensure that our community allows all individuals to have equal opportunity to thrive. Meanwhile, the administration is gutting Africana studies and many other programs on the most diverse campus, despite promising to support diversity. Not a good look. And how do you think that makes our African descendant students feel? With only 2.5% of the profit made just this year in endowment, Flint's entire budget could be doubled, much less than the tiny fraction of that it would take to pay for these programs. The Flint campus has 4 times as many Black students as Ann Arbor, and a much higher percentage of middle and lower income students from Michigan communities. The university has done in practice exactly the opposite of what Schlisel promised. Our most diverse and working class campus and its most diverse programs are slashed, while the average richer and whiter students at Ann Arbor receive phenomenal support. This is not equal opportunity. This is the Board of Regents for the University of Michigan, not the Ann Arbor campus, and should provide much greater support to those in need in our most disadvantaged campus and students. Flint is a working community. It has been hit hard by the pandemic. Most students work to help support themselves and their family. Almost every student I know balances work and school. During this time, it makes sense that enrollment would fall. We should not take this as an opportunity to cut down our already lessened opportunities, but want to support us in a time of need. How do you think it makes students at the Flint and Dearborn campuses feel? I'll tell you, I feel like a second-class student, a sideshow, an afterthought. I work at Walmart. I'm from Flint. I deserve to learn about music, Africana studies, and all the other subjects that students in Ann Arbor expect as a fundamental part of their education. The mission of the University of Michigan, as stated, is to serve the people of Michigan and the world through preeminence in creating, communicating, preserving, and applying knowledge, art, and academic values, and developing leaders and citizens who will challenge the present and enrich the future. Well, let me tell you, the students at the Flint campus don't feel served. The Regents should take a moment and consider their priorities. Is it profit or is it serving Michigan communities? If in times of need you cut down our university, our one university, instead of supporting it, you have lost sight of the mission.
These are reports of all the cuts that take place at Flint and Dearborn.
Hello, my name is Dale Held, and I'm a senior at U of M Dearborn, majoring in psychology and pre-medicine. I'm also a member of the One University Coalition. I'm here to speak on the need for increased funding to the Dearborn and Flint campuses from central administration and a reversal of harmful cuts. While Michigan recently beat Ohio State on the field, they and many others are beating us in other ways. OSU, along with Penn State, Texas A&M, and on a smaller scale, the community college that I attended before U of M, they all consider their university campuses as one university. Ohio State even boldly proclaims so on their website. This isn't even mentioning Ohio State's new plan to provide a debt-free undergraduate education, regardless of merit. However, at U of M, the administration refuses to treat its Dearborn and Flint campuses equally, and instead we're facing major budget cuts and more are continuing to be threatened. At Flint, there are a number of cuts to the humanities, including moratoriums on the Spanish major, Africana Studies major, and the German minor. The Flint Fine Arts Department and English departments are experiencing cuts to their entire budgets as well. In Dearborn, on my campus, the applied music program has been cut completely and the music minor is being phased out.
The budgets for African and African American studies, women and gender studies, and the writing program have all been gutted. There are a number of options that could have avoided these cuts. For instance, the $10 million from central administration, which was supposed to go to the Dearborn campus. Schlissel, Grasso, where is the $10 million that was allocated to the Dearborn campus? We've heard that it's going to Chancellor Grasso's strategic plan, but that lacks any transparency for how the money is actually spent. Meanwhile, that money would be more appropriately used to fund these programs that are being cut. Students deserve a full university education with options in the liberal arts, like languages and music. We've heard from countless students that are interested in these classes. We know that the applied music lecturers who spoke to this body last year that these cuts are not always due to enrollment. The piano classes were well enrolled, but still the university cut the program. Endowment money. U of M and U of M Dearborn have been around for over 60 years, and this body is dismantling opportunities for generations of future students as a result of small budget deficits, while the university sits on a $17 billion endowment. It is immoral and outrageous. U of M Dearborn's Castle Dean has admitted that providing a comprehensive literal arts education to U of M students is, quote, not going to happen due to the crisis. But this crisis was created by this body. The reason I and many others enrolled at U of M Dearborn was because of Castle.
Thank you. Hudson? Hudson? I think he signed in. Trent Engel?
Hello, can you hear me? Cool. Hi, my name is Trent Engel. Trent, if you want to be less formal. I am a senior in LSA here in Ann Arbor, and I am also a student employee in student life on campus. I'm here, I'll echo the points of the one of you. I wish I had more time to talk about them more, but I want to echo their demands of reversing the cuts to Flint and Dearborn, as well as a call to equitably fund them and to remove the GPA requirement for the Go Blue Guarantee. So I'm going to talk about the $15 minimum wage for campus employees. In the summer of 2021, the Board of Regents of the University of Michigan approved a budget including a $15 minimum wage for all non-temporary employees across each of the 3 campuses. Necessarily, you chose not to extend it to all employees, namely students and temporarily contracted workers. So I'm calling on you to establish that universal campus minimum wage for $15 an hour for all. So I'll raise a few points here. You know, students contribute a significant fraction of the university's workers present in virtually every unit, and yet remain underpaid for the work that they do amid an ongoing pandemic. As you can see, labor strikes are blooming across the country. The Board of Regents must recognize that student workers are a critical component of the university and its ability to sustain itself during this time. Whether I was working in the dorms, in the dining halls, as athletes at a desk, or elsewhere on campus, operations would come to a grinding halt. For the value we produce for the university, we're simply not substantially compensated. I can speak to this personally. I work 2 part-time jobs on this campus, starting both at $10 an hour. I've been basically unable to afford my rent without significant financial aid, which I know is not guaranteed to everybody. So on the other hand, the outgoing and I would say disfavored president of our university, Mark Schlissel, is receiving a multi-million-dollar exit package and $5,000 monthly housing stipend. Despite this, it's kind of, I would say, bullshit. So with thousands of students that can't afford to rent housing, the successful university that forces socioeconomically disadvantaged students and workers to endure additional costs of transportation if they want to live somewhere they can afford. Furthermore, our Regents can definitely afford to treat workers with dignity by utilizing a mere sliver of the $17 billion endowment. So as Regents, you have a responsibility to the campus community. You should recognize that the university and the Ann Arbor communities are increasingly unaffordable for students. Tuition and cost of living continue to rise amid the pandemic, and student wages remain the same. This movement has started in 2015. Student wages are the same since then. This system inevitably favors those with the ability to pay staggering rates and forces out low-income students from marginalized backgrounds who don't have that privilege. In this way, the University of Michigan perpetuates systemic racism, classism, and other forms of marginalization that our communities cannot tolerate. We're fed up with this exploitation and demand change for the workers, the students, and community members of the University of Michigan. And we demand that you use your authority to ensure that a $15 minimum wage is included on the budget for fiscal year 2023 for all university employees, students, or otherwise. Thank you. I see my time.
Joseph? Maria Joseph? She didn't sign in. I believe you're finished.
I'd like to thank all the speakers. And appreciate their candor and their passion. The meeting is now adjourned.
I'm dying. I'm dying. I've been trying to get to speak to you guys for the last 3 months. I just want 5 minutes. I'm dying of cancer. I drove from Boston 15 hours to speak to you.
Mr. Christian,
That 5 minutes.
Mr. Christian, the meeting's officially over, but please go ahead and take your 5 minutes. I'll stay and listen to you.
Thank you so much for staying and listening to me. I have stage 4. First of all, my name is Chuck Christian. And I have stage 4 prostate cancer and bone cancer. My doctors have given me 3 years to live. I've outlived their prognosis. They asked me why I waited so long to come in to see the doctor. They said it could have been fixed really easy, the prostate cancer. But I told my doctors that I was not gonna let another doctor put his finger in my behind, like Dr. Anderson did. And other athletes feel the same way. In 1975, Tad DeLuca wrote to the athletic director a 9-page letter telling him what Anderson was doing to the wrestlers. Instead of firing Anderson or having him arrested, Michigan kicked Tad DeLuca off of the wrestling team and stripped him of his scholarship. If Michigan would have listened to Tad in 1975, I would not be dying today. The tentacles of being raped by Anderson is far-reaching. It didn't end after we graduated from Michigan. We're still dealing with the trauma 30, 40, and 50 years later. Some of us can't hold a job because Michigan didn't stop Anderson. Some of the guys are on their 3rd and 4th marriages because they haven't been able to heal from that trauma. One player said to me, I have battled with drugs and alcohol for half of my life, all because I was raped repeatedly by my team doctor. 4 of my friends have died in the last year because of their fear of doctors. And I just found out today that my dear friend John Vaughn was just diagnosed with cancer himself. My prayer is that it's not the terminal kind like I have. And John will continue to protest in the camper in front of the president's house. In public, you say how sorry you are for what Anderson did to us. But in private, victims are traumatized and abused. We are treated like animals.
If you don't believe what I'm saying, watch my deposition. Don't read it, watch it. I broke down 15 times in tears because of the way Michigan treated me in the deposition. I was treated like a hardened criminal and a liar, and all because I told the truth. After my deposition, I slept for 2 days straight. I felt like I'd been raped all over again. Michigan attacked me for almost 7 hours nonstop. I had to remind the lawyer, I'm not the criminal, Anderson was. Michigan hasn't done the right thing in over 50 years when it comes to sexual assault. They have covered for the predators year after year after year. Now, you guys have the opportunity to make things right. It is never too late to do the right thing. And you know what the right thing is. Remember, the team. If Anderson had done the things he did to us in a public bathroom, he would have been arrested the first day. But because Michigan protected and covered up his crime, he was able to rape 200 to 300 athletes a year for 37 years with no fear of going to jail. I have so much more to tell, but I don't have the time. If you really want to know what went on, go to YouTube and search 3 videos. Please write this down, please. No, please write this down, the 3 videos. Wow. You don't want to see it. The first video is on YouTube, Sons of Serendip, Superman. It's a 14-minute video. My son was a finalist on America's Got Talent, and he wrote me a song, a fight song, to try to keep me alive. The second video you really should see is Hail to the Victims. I share the story of dozens of players and what they went through. And finally, the last video, The Bo I Knew, where I tell the truth about how Bo was and who Bo was when there was no camera and no writers around. Thank you for the 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Good evening, everybody. Have a pleasant holiday.
No.